I spent hours digging through the Subnautica Discord and found 5 features the devs have been discussing, including one that could completely change how the Collector Leviathan works. Hi, I'm Ray, and apparently I have far too much free time because I read hundreds of Discord messages, so you don't have to. Starting off with number 1, a very interesting message from General Batuta, aka Seth, a few weeks ago saying, "I don't know if we're there yet, but the thing I always wanted the Collector Leviathan to inspire was not the brutality of the Reaper or the sinister aspect of the Ghost, but the fear of something enormous and clever that wants to play with you like a weird bug. I'd love if for someday it would pull you down out of your base, stick you in a hole and drop things on you." This is a really interesting comment for a whole load of different reasons. Firstly, I would say the way the Collector Leviathan exists currently actually is more like a Reaper than not, as right now it just grabs you and eats you, a one-shot kill. I don't know about you guys, but that's very reminiscent of the Reaper's behavior to me. Then there's the whole idea of the Collector pulling you out of your base with its big long tentacles, something you've probably half witnessed already if you've built around the trench area like I have. I think while this would be a really cool feature, the fact that we might not be getting the ability to kill Leviathans means we would get locations of the world that would become complete no-go zones for base building, as the Collector pulling you out of your base every 5 minutes would very quickly start to get frustrating. Generally, it seems like a very complex feature for them to implement with like little gain in terms of gameplay or play satisfaction. Next, we have another one from General Batuta about the length of the game story. Someone asked him, and I'm paraphrasing here, if you had to estimate how much of the story is in the current early access release, to which Seth says, "I'm hoping around 20%, but it's complicated. The current story has too much reading and yapping, but not enough exciting stuff actually happening in the world." This one is maybe the most exciting one to me, as it suggests we could expect the game story to be quite a long adventure. If we presume the story so far to have taken around 8 to 10 hours to complete, we could be looking at a 40 to 50 hour story. Now to me, this is significantly more than I was expecting for a game like Subnautica 2, given that the first 2 games for the main story was between 20 to 30 hours each. Of course, once again take this with a grain of salt, if the main story ended up closer to 30 to 35 hours, I would still be very happy. Because if the early access is anything to go by, there's probably lots of side content waiting for us to explore anyway, which could easily take the game up to 50 to 100 hours. At number 3, we have a bit less of an interesting one, but still super important, this time from Anthony, saying, "Yeah, we'll definitely do a custom mode with all the enhanced gameplay options of Below Zero." Having not been super familiar with Below Zero myself, I played through the main story twice and that's about it, with no additional exploration or tinkering with game settings. I wasn't really too familiar with custom mode, so I booted up Below Zero and had a look. There's a whole load of interesting options in there, super notable one being the ability to change the aggressiveness of fish, as well as how much damage they do and how much damage you do to them. Before anyone says anything, I'm not saying I'm for or against killing the fish. If you want to argue about that, you can do that in the comments, but I'll save my thoughts on it for a future video. But yes, if they decide that by default you can't kill the fish, it could be quite likely that they add a toggle for it in the custom game mode. Also, as another quick mention, I asked Arion in the Discord server about hardcore mode being in Subnautica 2's early access release, and he commented just saying no, but then he edited his comment to say no, not on early access release this week. The fact he edited his comment to clarify this makes it practically certain that hardcore mode will also be added as a standalone mode for the game. The question is though, and this is something I've posted to the community before, with dying being such an integral part of Subnautica 2's story, how do we expect hardcore to work in this game? Will we get a small lore reason as to why we can't respawn? And will dialogue referring to the player being able to respawn be taken out? Or will we have more than one life? Let me know your thoughts below. Speaking of killing fish, at number 4 we have a question from a player saying, "Will you let us kill small fish?" To which Sasha replied, "Yeah, we will probably add that." This is a pretty self-explanatory one, but the fact that he said probably does cast a bit of doubt as to whether it will be added, but just based on the community reaction across social media, it seems to be quite a hotly requested feature, even though there is also a sizable group of people who believe there shouldn't be the ability to kill fish at all. I do think though most people will probably be able to find common ground with limiting it to small fish only. Finally, the most unique and unexpected one in my opinion is this message from Yuli, where, once again, I'll paraphrase, "We're experimenting with player status effects, so don't be surprised if there's some afflictions the player has to overcome." This sounds like it'll be much more than just the green pustules you would get in Subnautica 1 where you had the coronavirus, and sounds like the player will actually be affected by things, maybe reduced vision or slower movement speed when being hit or after being damaged from certain fish, or maybe we start to hear things, kind of like we currently do when we go near an angel comb. One thing to keep in mind, this comment is much older than all the other ones, at almost 6 months old in fact, so this one is even more likely to be up in the air at this point. Just imagine though, you're 900 meters deep in a long, winding, dark cave, and you start hearing voices whisper to you to follow them. You follow along, Maybe they're taking you to a rare resource or a blueprint that you need. Instead, you turn around a corner and you see the dead bodies of multiple previous colonists, and in the water is a huge 100-meter Leviathan, now with its teeth focused straight at you. This is probably way too unrealistic, but one can dream, right? And who knows, maybe someone will turn it into a reality with mods if the devs don't. If you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate it massively. Please do take a second to like and subscribe. My content is probably exactly the type of thing you're into, and I'm hoping to hit 1k subscribers soon. In fact, if this video somehow hits 2k likes, I'll get searching through the Subnautica Discord for a part 2.